Welcome back. We are live at Padonia Station. It's all brought to you by Coors Light. I'm a little upset. You know, the Coors Light bottles here, Coach, that goes blue. The mountains get blue when it's cold, and my mountains have gone white. So I think I need to go Latin style here and work a little Venezuelan ice into this. We got Coach Brian Billick out with us tonight. You got any funny Coors Light lines you want to throw out, commercial lines? You want to make any tonight?
No, I didn't do them last year, so they ain't paying me. I ain't throwing out Coors Light lines.
But you threw them out before. Just say bring in the wedge. Everybody loves the wedge.
Wedge it, not bring in the wedge. It was just wedge it.
What was the Michael? What was the Michael?
Right.
That was McCrary probably.
No, I get asked that more than anything else. Which Michael? Because I had Mike Smith, Mike Nolan.
It was Flynn.
Mike, it was Mike Singletary.
It was Singletary.
Mike Singletary reminded me of that. He says, you know who you're yelling at in that. When I go, no, I thought it was Mike Johnson.
Okay.
He says, you were yelling at me. I remember it's something about I was going after Mike, and he was, I don't know what he was doing.
How long until the Mike Singletary clip becomes a Coors Light commercial?
Yeah, no, he's still coaching, so that may take a while.
He won't take the money from Coors Light, will he?
Not for Coors Light.
Where did he end up?
He's in Minnesota.
Minnesota, very
Linebacker
cool.
coach
Very
in
good.
Minnesota.
We'll talk some Ravens. They made 8 picks over this weekend, and obviously that started with Jimmy Smith in the first round. And not that you know anything about football, but Brian Billick, the player that you had mocked to the Baltimore Ravens in the first round was?
Jimmy Smith.
Jimmy Smith, correct. So why was it?
Hey, that's pretty good.
What are the
Yeah, as a guy that I used to go around and collect an envelope every year, remember when I used to do that on the Friday, and you never guessed the right player? Right?
I didn't know as much then.
Well, I mean, there you go. Well put.
All it took was getting fired.
All right. So let's talk about Jimmy Smith. When you look at his film next to where Chris McAllister was, because every single mock that had Jimmy Smith compared him to Chris McAllister, and having dealt with Chris McAllister, had to manage him for 10 years, that's probably not something that John Harbaugh wants to be stepping into for the next 10 years.
Well, it had to be discussed. Now, and I don't know where this young man is in that regard. This guy's a good football player. He's a good corner.
Top 10 talent in your menu?
Yeah, close to it. Had it not been for some of the off-the-field issues, when you look at the guys that went, whether it was Peterson, whether it was Amukamara, Peterson's probably a better all-around player. I'm not sure coverage-wise, snap for snap, he's not a better cover guy than Amukamara. So this is pretty good value.
But you love Peterson, yeah?
He was number 1 on my board.
Okay, so knowing that, where did you see deficiencies just on the film? I mean, when it comes to Jimmy Smith versus Peterson, because let's be honest, one of the issues with Jimmy Smith isn't just off the field that teams are worried about him getting arrested or this or that. They're worried about the investment in him. You take a guy at 5, you got to pay him $15 million of bonus money. You take him at 27 or 28, you wind up paying him $3 million in bonus money. That's really the difference in where the risk is, not just the value of the pick, right? It's the money you have to give these guys.
Absolutely, and that's where the off-field is very much a factor. On the field, there's no question. This guy, when you saw him against A.J. Green, you said, this guy's good.
Sure.
And keep in mind, A.J. Green's the real deal. He played A.J. Green very, very well. Technique, he can firm up a little bit better. You know, he's not the purest of technique, but that'll get better. He's got the size, unique size for a corner. He's got all the numbers.
Well, you'd say unique size. You can't be any bigger and be a cornerback, right? I mean, have you seen a cornerback bigger than 6'2", 6'2 and a half? I mean,
no, and usually you give something up, and you don't with this guy. Great cover skills. Again, technique-wise, needs to clean some things up, but that he will. You know, Chuck Pagano, now the coordinator, will do a great job, you know, because obviously you never get far away from your roots. So he's going to have hands-on with this guy as well. So on the field, there's no question that this guy will help. And all indications are, and I know the Ravens are certainly going to do their homework, they're comfortable that off the field, this guy can learn what it is to be a professional. If he does, they got a heck of a player.
We both had commented, Nestor and I ended up asking Jimmy about it on Saturday. And it was on the other network, so I apologize for that. But there was a live camera on Jimmy Smith.
I don't want to talk about it then.
I'm okay. Fair enough. We're going to talk about it anyway.
With ESPN.
Right.
You can talk to him. That's fine.
On Thursday night, Jimmy's got a live camera on him as throughout the night as he's getting prepared to be picked. He's wearing a Godfather T-shirt instead of a suit or instead of something related to his school or something like that. He's wearing a T-shirt from the movie The Godfather. Is there anything, do you approach him and say, Jimmy?
Yes.
Do
you?
you?
You have to. Just like when Ed Reed came in. Remember when Ed Reed came in, he had the hair and the dread, and Donnie Henderson was our DB coach. got Ed right away and said, look, man, you got to clean this up a little bit. This is a little different at this level.
Right.
It really is. And Ed just didn't know.
But especially given his background.
Yeah, you would think this.
Dwayne Starks had a gold tooth with a star in it, and that was gone within 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Within 6 weeks, he had a regular tooth. Somebody pulled him up, and Dwayne even said to me, like, they pulled me up and said, look, we don't want to roll like that here in Baltimore, you know? And
now, and this brings up a good point. You would have thought someone around Jimmy Smith would say, hey, man, that doesn't make sense.
Right.
You mean Drew Rosenhaus wouldn't give him that quality advice?
And that's part of the issue. Who is he surrounding himself with? And now, particularly given that there's no contact, that's the biggest concern now, too. Because here's what happens. These guys are the minute they're done with their season, they're taken over by the agents and the agencies, and they're working out for the combine, and they're with other players and coaches, and they're structured.
They're out in Phoenix or whatever, the structured
or
environment.
down in Florida
Sure.
or in Phoenix or Atlanta, and they're a structure, and they go right up to the combine.
now
you're drafted. And then after the combine, they've got their workouts. They're back at school. That's orchestrated.